Welcome to the Carnival 30-minute tour.
Greetings everyone, Nate the Nerdarchy here from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with a nerd.
I'm Kienata, and tonight we are working on happy, fluffy bunny stuff.
The Spirit Grove, which is actually very close to Gryffindor and was made by one of my player characters. Well, kind of made by one of my player characters in Ted's game. The Cult.
Kind of, sort of, maybe?
Yeah, so kind of, sort of, maybe.
Before we get crazy into this, there was a very interesting discussion between you and Dave and Ted about who does what with this world and why Gryffindor is important to that. Because apparently he doesn't know what exists in some direction and you do in other directions or something like that. So can you...
Oh, okay. So there's three of us all creating stuff in the world of Ulfgania, and that is in our Chimes of Discordia campaign setting. Chimes of Discordia. And Ulfgania is a mega Earth in that world, in that setting. And basically, the Spirit Grove area and Gryffindor is a town, a boom town, that is kind of basically taken by Ted and Dave for the most part. I rarely have done any games in Gryffindor at all, even one-shots. So for the most part, I've played in the games that we play in Gryffindor. And what happened is I've taken all this area to the one side, way, way far away. So I just basically said, okay, about 1,000 miles away, there's this thing called the Merchant Circle. And that's where I'm kind of doing most of my stuff. So we have concentrated on the Merchant Circle, the Chaos Waste of the Thrycreen Empire, the Scarab People Empire. And we've also done the Island Chains on the Merchant Circle. And that was the past 3 world builds that we've done together. And that was pretty much all my say. And, you know, Kienata's input. And then, you know, guys and gals helped out a bit by talking about different things and for inspiration and other things like names and stuff like that. So we basically kind of did those for the first 3. So now we're moving into territory I have to actually think about what has already been put in place and what the other guys in the other games have directed. So for the most part, the Spirit Grove's mine, but there's stuff that's come from the Scarlet Sisterhood campaign with...
I'm getting a request to turn your microphone up.
Oh, turn my microphone up.
Yeah.
Okay. How about that? Is that good? That should be much better.
Let us know.
Yeah, we'll find out. The microphone hasn't really moved much, but maybe that like inch or two has made all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Gryffindor area, Ted and Dave worked heavily in it, and I've only influenced it through my player character. And the Spirit Grove is pretty much my baby, I'd say, as a player character, because I'm from first level cleric, nature cleric, all the way up to I'm now 17th level nature cleric, and this is my base basically. And my contribution to the region. And one of the major things with it is that, well, any other background you think I need to talk about with this besides?
No,
John
I just found something where multiple GMs are running the same area. I've only done that once in the entire time I've been GMing, so it's just kind of an interesting thing to talk about because if any of you are like me, you're probably wondering, how does that work? Like, you guys, how do you not step on the other GM's toes so that you can all develop a beautiful world and not push anybody else out of the equation or end the world accidentally or whatever?
That's a good point. And one of the ways that works is Ted and Dave are interact a lot and talk about things a lot, and they've always talked like D&D shop for a long time. So it's really easy for them, I think, to go back and forth with each other about different concepts, and different campaign concepts, and basically they've tried to keep it away from each other, like so their players in the other GM's campaign doesn't get kind of like foreknowledge or understanding, to kind of keep it still fresh for them as players. But one of the things that they do is if it's something like really world changing, breaking in the area, or something big's happening, they'll get into it with each other and say, hey, I'm going to have this. Do you not care about this town over here? Because recently the town has been obliterated and destroyed. Like, the town's gone. The people are either dead or scattered or someplace. They're like, it's gone. So
the way I kind of imagined it is that you guys must be making like exchanges or concessions between each other. Like, in my mind, I kind of see each of you ending up as a semi-deity responsible for chunks of this world, and then talking to the others and being like, that town you made that they played in when they were second level, are you using that? Because I need to light it on fire. Like, that's kind of the interplay I see happening here.
Well, the easy thing for Dave was he was in the campaign, Ted's Griffingaff campaign, for like 3 years now, so he kind of knew how useful that particular town was and how important it was to Ted's campaign, and it wasn't really. Even though it was someplace we've gone recently, we've gone throughout our campaign every once in a while. It's not our home base. It's not super special to us. So he felt it was easy to destroy, but to give the magnitude of the creature and the magnitude of the event, because plenty of people got killed or driven off, like I said, property destroyed and all kinds of stuff. So overall, that was like a really deadly thing that happened. Now, I mean, if he broke my spirit grove, I would just say that didn't happen. I'd have to. Well, actually, as a player, I would deal with it, but as a GM, I cheated that whole scenario with the two of them in Griffingaff, and I said, I'm not going to run a third game in Griffingaff. So I just scooted myself off and said, well, I'm going to buy imaginary real estate at very low prices, thousands of miles away. So that's what I did, and it allowed me to create whatever the heck I felt like at the time. And I didn't really need to discuss anything or talk through things with them. But on their part, I think they've done really well going back and forth with ideas that are going to move the area forward and progress it through time and events without... another thing was Dave has the Scarlet Sisterhood game, which also takes place in Griffingaff. Ted had a siege on Griffingaff, and the Dave was like, well, I don't really want to deal with the siege. You're dealing with the siege with a group of heroes. I'm just going to progress the Scarlet Sisterhoods a year. So I think they're actually ahead. It's a little strange because they're technically ahead of us in the timeline for Ted's campaign. So Scarlet Sisterhoods is like further along than Ted's game. So the issue, I guess, with that is we could be influenced by events that happen with the Scarlet Sisterhoods game. If anything monumental happens, that then Ted's game's like, oh, we'll have to deal that when it comes to it. If we want to keep it all consistent and fine.
Well, I just imagined, like, from the perspective of a player, sometimes when a GM says to me, I'm going to do a homebrew, I cringe a little bit because I don't know how good this person's going to be at making up their own world. Sometimes that is like a fireworks show and it's beautiful. And you're like, God, this guy came up with or gal came up with the best world I've ever played in. It was so compelling. Other times it's like a circus and there's all these disconnected things all attached to each other. And I imagine as a player in this setting you guys have created, you'd just be like, man, there's so much story here. There's so much depth to it because there's 3 people working on it at the same time.
Yes, and then we've got the actions of all the players that influence the world as well. For example, we're going to get into that. In the Spirit Grove, there are pixies that my character did not invite. I'm Nate the Nerdarch is annoyed that there's pixies and sprites in my woods that I didn't invite, but the player character is happy because that just makes it like he's successfully created an elven grove if pixies are now living there.
Yeah, and I didn't want to I didn't want to make light of it. James Leslie said, setting building is brutal. And anyone brave enough to build their own setting and try and run something unique, kudos to you. It is impossibly hard to come up with all the locations and the NPCs and everything else. It takes a ton of work. So I respect that a lot. Hey, old Grumpy.
Just James Leslie, excuse me, but if you don't mind, I'm going to blow this town up for thematic plot.
Exactly what I was imagining. Like, how do you guys, do you like just shoot a text over to Dave? Hey, Dave, village gone. Cannibals live there now. Peace.
Yeah.
Quick.
Sounds good, right? Excellent.
Send.
Yeah. Dicey UK internal wiki. That's probably going to be a thing.
Exactly.
That'll
if you guys
be a
started
thing eventually.
Yeah, and there's stuff and things are happening. Stuff and things. Okay, so closing the microscope a little bit, bringing our view down.
Mm-hmm.
We're at fluffy, happy bunny land with the Spirit Grove.
Well,
there's like sunshine and rainbows, and people hug each other all the time.
Getting to the beginning of that story, it was not always so.
But it is now.
Long ago, as in less than 3 years ago, in game time.
Long ages past.
There was a mayor who was found out to be messing around with cultists. And in fact, he had lied about being a hero. And he actually made a pact with the demons and said, I'll further grow your cult, just let me live. So he was installed as the hero of the town and mayor for 60 years. And he finally just couldn't take it anymore, and he started giving clues and dropping hints about what was going on. And people are finding this out, and I'm like, okay, all of our zigzags of through this stuff leads to a person with a particular name, and it actually turned out to be like a pseudonym for the mayor's name, like a false, AKA, also known as, kind of thing. So he gets executed, but his spirit is haunting Gryffindor, and we collect his spirit and put it in a tree. I mean, basically collect his spirit. I go and plant it in a tree and kind of bind him to the tree, because otherwise I felt like, I was like, you know what? In the end, he redeemed himself, even though he still did such horrible things. I basically my idea was I'll just like tree purgatory him. So rather than go to his final rewards, which would have been awful, he could live as this tree for however long this magic tree would last, and kind of like refine himself and maybe come to an understanding or a new frame of existence that allowed him to pass away from this suffering.
So you made the assumption that this, because there's many as a GM, I'm like, thank you for the fuel. I will use this against you later. So you made the assumption that this person who did evil stuff but tried to redeem himself, when you trapped him in a tree, you essentially imprisoned him in a tree. You said, well, maybe he'll use this time to think about what he did wrong.
It was more like a hope and a prayer.
Oh my!
I didn't cast any spells, except plant growth.
So is he aware of his surroundings?
He's actually transformed into another being. He's a spirit guardian. He's no longer. Basically, what I did plus my deity's power transformed him into something new. He doesn't recall his old life or anything. So
interesting.
Well, it's not what I was going for, but woohoo!
That's a gimme. If I were the GM, you would have gotten monkey pawed to death.
Oh yeah.
All over you. Really?
Oh, monkey paw. So what ended up happening was he was imprisoned, but then he transformed into the spirit guardian after the ritual. So I said, well, this is a sign from Gaius, the god of nature, time, and prophecy, and the procession of time. Which is why he can prophesize, because he kind of like sees what is going on towards that stuff. So anyway, that deity is the nature cleric's deity, Arbalason Mirdan, and he kind of took that as a sign as he should be the cleric's cleric and get a grove happening, and so he started basically sculpting the area and growing things, and he went all around. We had like a year off where we said, hey, you're going to have a year, do what you want with it in game. So I did plant growth, the really long 8-hour spell version that increases the crop yield in an area. And I did that for the entirety of the crop. I made basically like a festival circuit throughout all the farmlands in Gryffindor area, and did that for almost the entirety of my time off.
So your character is like incredibly popular right now.
Oh yeah. It did double duty because I'm a merchant. So
marry my daughter.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't got any wedding. I haven't got any wedding proposals from rich merchant family fathers or anything. But it could happen.
I think you disappointed James Leslie and Dicey UK by saying that he got free of the tree. It looks like they wanted to threaten him with dire beavers.
No, he's in the tree.
He's still in the tree.
Yes, he's part.
Dire beavers are on the table, folks.
He is an entity bound to the tree.
Oh, okay.
And since he rarely, if ever, comes out. But during the siege of Gryffindor, where there was all these fiendish orc horde and stuff, and ogres and giants, they could not enter the grove. So that was another special thing about it. So it might have some kind of Temple of the Gods feel to it, which is one of the spells where you can basically say certain things just cannot enter. So I feel like it has a little bit of that quality, though I have not cast that spell in it. But if I have a year, I'll probably just do it and make it permanent.
Okay.
So that's the backdrop. And at some point, because of other... Now, this is the thing. Because of other DMs and other players' choices in different games, there are pixies and sprites that hang out in the trees, especially and around the spirit tree. So that has to be included because that's like canon. That's not extended universe or legend or anything or whatever the Star Wars term is.
We have poor Star Wars. I still love you, Star Wars. I do. You're right here. Okay, all right. So we have fluffy, happy bunny land, but mentally, the image of what this place looks like, I don't really have much. You said Spirit Grove. In my mind, a Spirit Grove could be very small, maybe a couple acres of land, or it could be literally hundreds of thousands of acres, or if you're in the UK, hectares of land.
It's a heckle of hectares.
It's a heckle of hectares. So, what's the scope? What's the scale? What are we looking at here? I know there's a tree in the middle.
Oh, right. So, from what I understand, there's forest to the north and east of Gryffindor. So that whole kind of arc has forest.
Okay, and is all of that considered part of this grove?
That's how I visualize Gryffindor. Another issue right now is everybody has a different idea as DMs as well as players in their game for Gryffindor what the actual terrain looks like. So another complication is, I'm pretty sure it's exactly to the southeast, and then to the northeast there's like a lodge and stuff. I also, as my merchant guy, I had noble as well as ranger warders. So I actually have hired and trained warders for the forest. So I've got an army of rangers in a sense. It's not a lot of rangers, but you figure it's a good amount for a person to have access to that they've paid for. Because you figure trained, even a whole bunch of level 1 rangers or a whole bunch of commoners who can hunt that want to be rangers eventually someday. Those are all kinds of a certain level of wealth, and I've got way more than that, so I spend it on that kind of stuff. And I also made some pretty lodges for, as Nerdarchy Ryan used to say, glamping. So glamour camping for the nobles to kind of get them into, and that's a nice way because I can hang out with them, so I can hobnob as a noble merchant, and I can also hang out with the rustic people.
The rustic people. You mean
guys that go people? Guys that go for
it.
weeks at a time without going into the town. Yeah, I'd call that rustic.
Rustic.
They happen to be poor because they don't merchant while they're out there. They hunt deer and stuff.
He's too good for us. That's fine. So
well,
all right. So we have some scaling issues here. All right, and we have questions coming up already that are going to have to be addressed in order to deal with the scaling issues.
Okay.
Lincoln wants to know just what's the climate like?
Okay, it is temperate.
Temperate.
So
Hardwood.
Far enough away from the desert of the south. warm enough, so it's like cool enough to be away from the desert, warm enough that it's not too close to the treacherous belt.
Ferns.
So yeah, you're gonna have evergreens, you're gonna have oaks, you're gonna have things like that.
Okay, all right.
Mimic mustard jelly time. I'm just thinking about that song.
No, stop! Don't sing any songs. We said no singing and no dancing, and I'm holding you to that.
I think I've already danced several times this video. I have failed.
Okay. Scaling.
Okay, let us say it is at least 100 miles across. Even if if the grove itself, the spirit grove, the center of this whole thing, is smaller than that.
Okay, all right. So, what's up, I Gruesome? We have, as far as scaling is concerned, we have a reasonably big area, approximately 100 miles.
Yeah, let's say that.
The Druid Grove, the Spirit Grove in the center of this is like a religious site, is much larger, maybe.
It counts as a shrine.
It counts as a shrine. Okay, so we have a shrine-like Spirit Grove in the middle. We have approximately 100 miles of druid-ish woods. I'm not sure what that entails yet. That's probably something we'll answer tonight. So Dicey UK was talking in chat earlier about the fact that he has also made kind of a Spirit Grove thing. And he's saying he had like shallow caves with shrines, ley lines. That depends on if your game world uses anything like ley lines or anything like that. Some game worlds incorporate them. Rifts famously used ley lines as I know it's
I recall. Yes, it did.
If you ever want to hear me complain about the mechanics in a game system,
Palladium, yeah.
Oh boy. But so you could use something like a ley line mechanic or something like that to connect different shrines, or maybe show focal points of spirit energy or magical energy. I think there's some easy things that we can go with here. Oh, James Leslie is one step ahead of me. So it's sanctified in 100 miles of woods. Does the magic here have any effects on the animals? Are they bigger than normal, celestial, anything like that? How are the creatures affected?
All right, so I would say that I've cast plant growth on the area, and that doubles the harvest of a region. So if you can get 5 tons of wheat out of a farm field, you get 10 tons of wheat instead. So on that same thing, if you can feed 100 rabbits on an acre of berries or whatever, you can feed 200 rabbits on an acre of berries, which means you're going to have more prey animals, you're going to have more predator animals. It's just going to be more bountiful in general. So I would assume that gives the ability for certain creatures to grow more powerful, because it's just like a higher exchange amongst everything.
Now, I think it would be really, really easy to incorporate into the mechanics. How many times have you cast plant growth on this place?
On the Spirit Grove is a significant amount of time, like ballpark dozens
of times.
Yeah.
So it would be safe to say that things that are perhaps incredibly rare to a woodland area, or that only live in the most opulent surroundings, those things would probably end up in a place like this. If you're casting plant growth on a tree, you get incredibly massive trees, and probably really, really healthy trees. Then you kind of trickle that down to bushes and grasses and moss and all the scrub and everything. And you're going to end up with a really beautiful landscape. Double animal population, if it's able to consistently produce that amount of creature, or that amount of food for the creatures to consume, I absolutely.
And I would say overall, between the God's blessing, the spirit tree, and what I've done in the region, it's going to just kind of stay that way. I think as long as there's a tender, or like you could say a gardener.
And you said a god's blessing. Do you mean like a direct? The deity was like, you know what? That's a nice spot. Boop, and he blessed it.
Well, what I did, what I had the capacity to do as a character was not what occurred. Do you know what I mean? That and I recently went to an island of the gods and brought back a fruit, which, as Ted described it, I was meant to bring into the world, as if I found something on the island that I needed to take and bring to the world. And I planted it in the grove. So there is a special magic fruit. I think it's like KUM. They look like kumquats, I think. The ones that you can eat the peel, but they're kind of citrus on the outside.
Those, yeah.
Yeah. And it just grows on a vine. So it's like there's a fruiting vine thing, woody vine. That's from an island of the gods. So I'm upping the street cred of this place as a player.
So if this place has a fruit, see, because my mind immediately goes to nefarious things. You've just introduced
happy, fluffy, bunny unicorn stuff, rainbows.
But somebody knows that there's a fruit of the gods growing in these groves, and they would.
I do. The guy who gave it to me and myself.
That's it. Nobody else has visited the grove.
The other players weren't with me when I picked it up and put it in my satchel. Oh, I actually gave them some, and I didn't. I just said I had it. I wanted them to taste it.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna nail this stuff down. I think everyone in chat would like to know what the fruit does.
Yes. Oh, I actually don't know.
What? And you planted it?
Yeah.
There are healthy fears to have in life. Okay? Healthy fears to have in life are fear snakes, fear spiders, fear falling off tall things.
Spiders, venomous insects.
GMs. Fear your GM. You just planted it. You're like, I made this beautiful grove, and he gave me some fruit. I don't know what does. I'll just plant it. Maybe you missed the Avengers movie. Do you remember?
I did not see any of the Ultron movies for Avengers.
Oh, they were so good.
So anyway, they're just fine things. Happy, fluffy, bunny unicorns. Frolicking. That's what we're talking about.
There's no random villagers that have wandered through the grove. None of the rangers know about the god fruit.
I just planted it.
Like just a little while ago.
Yeah, like 2 sessions ago. It hasn't even been a month since it's been there.
Yeah, exactly. James Leslie said, you brought in a magic fruit without having the properties determined.
Yes. Island of the gods. I mean, I don't know. Do I have to be any clearer than this?
In what pantheon of gods are all the gods good?
Oh, well, you do have a good point.
You're scaring me. I'm not going in your grove.
Eat some fruit.
Hey, this is new. I just got it. Want to try a bite? Yeah. Okay.
So we're gonna say that the fruit is good for you.
We're just gonna. Are we gonna? Can we give it stats now? And then when you're done with this, you just hand it to Ted and be like, I made the fruit up for you. You're welcome. And then scamper away.
Be like, nope. I'm not listening to any rebuttal. This is what it does.
Yeah, exactly. Golden chaos apple in disguise.
Golden chaos apple in disguise.
Okay.
Oh man.
If you guys ever want to traumatize yourselves, look up medieval beliefs about unicorns. Some weird stuff will come up. Give that one a Google.
Oh boy.
Anyway, yeah.
Sometime later. I'll have to check it out.
Really messed up stuff. Okay. So we've defined that you just planted a unknown, possibly alien spawning nano weapon in your druid area.
Okay. I mean, that could be a thing it does.
I've never played with Ted. I don't know how evil he can be, but chances are...
This was supposed to be a benefit, just to let you know.
Make it evil, Ted.
Some people got magic swords, and some people got pluses to stats. Does it give you an idea of what this should be? It should be nice and happy and fluffy freaking bunnies.
Okay, all right. So clearly, and chat, you guys can help direct me here about my line of questioning right now. because this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing you are like, hey, Ranger, I'm going to hire you to protect my grove.
Yeah.
You're going to wander around
Mm-hmm.
and plug people that mess with my stuff.
Well,
Which
not my
fine.
stuff. They're supposed to uphold the sanctity of the woods.
Okay, they're upholding the sanctity of the woods.
Yes. Which could
And
include
they-
hunting deer. That's fine.
And they see you gently patting down the soil around this new unknown thing.
Yeah, okay, so they know that there's something in the woods, but they don't know what it does.
Well, it probably hasn't grown yet either, unless it like instantaneously sprouted.
Okay, think about it this way. Where the spirit grove tree is, where the spirit tree is, and this magic
Yeah.
fruit is like my church. Do you know what I mean? So like,
well, this gives good people a reason to respect it and bad people a reason to fear it, but it does not take greed out of that equation anywhere in there.
I'm sure someone will snitch one of them and be like,
"Oh man,
this is awesome.
I gotta run a game. I want a piece of this action.
Gotta get people there."
All right, so occupants of your fluffy bunny grove. We're doing something super evil next time, guys.
Thanks, all.
It's going to be dark. Oh, what did we get?
We got a follower.
Thank you for the follow.
Again, I can't read it because someone said I need to make it really tiny.
Old Grumpy. Cut a tree and die grove. I don't think that it's... I think we're avoiding the nefarious side of things right now.
Yeah.
Much to my chagrin, but...
Yeah, this is a nice place that a player has made, and the DM has given his check off, too.
Pope.
So for the most part, I didn't make a place that's going to murder me. So...
Well, I don't think you intentionally made a place that's going to murder you.
Okay.
But every single time someone's like, we found alien life, they think they did something good.
This is just, divinely inspired life, I think, and somehow. Or we have a thing in our world. Another thing that happens in the Chimes of Discordia on Ulfgania is every once in a while the gods go, this isn't working out so much. And rather than let the whole place go to crap, they kind of sweep a few things off and tuck them in their pocket.
That sounds like the kind of thing gods would do, realistically. If we're talking about like old school petty pantheon gods.
Yeah.
No, here we go.
No, the fruit will cause a war. That could still happen if I grow enough of it and I become the citrus king.
Shivs the Stabba said were rabbits.
Okay.
Nerd test.
I like this.
What is the samurai bunny rabbit comic book? Is it? It's like Yojimbo or something. Usagi Yojimbo. Oh God, I can't remember. Help me out.
I can't remember either.
I can't remember.
What do you
been
think?
a while since
What do you think about that? Duck bunnies and were-rabbits.
No duck bunnies and were-rabbits. Why are you doing this to me?
I agree with the were-rabbits. I like it.
Oh, it's too fluffy and happy. It's making me die on the inside.
Were creatures are not necessarily happy things.
You're killing me. All right. Maybe I like Dicey's direction. Dicey's like, no, it's just really sweet fruit. Just good. Just tastes really good.
It just tastes really good. It's awesome.
People put it in stews. I mean, it's just delicious.
Make sauces out of it.
Chutney. Delicious chutney.
Yeah. Dicey UK says yes to duck bunnies. Thank you. I say yes to duck bunnies too. Magical fireflies that help you see at night if you are good aligned but stay away from evil beings. Ooh, I actually really like that.
I love the idea. We could really explore that because you have kind of, this is another one of those concepts that bounces around a lot in fantasy and science fiction. Is you're a pure of heart person. You walk into an enchanted grove or enchanted area, and little things come out to make sure you go in the right direction to help you. They can like sense your goodness. So that could be a fun idea to explore. Maybe fireflies, maybe the occasional sprite or pixie. Yeah. Interesting. I don't think it's sweet, but it's way too sweet. Cloyingly sweet. You would never want to consume. Oh, it's so good, but I'm so, it's like a sweet and sour Jolly Rancher. I just can't. I want more, but it hurts.
Yeah, it makes your saliva glands quiver.
That gave me jaw pain. I feel like I just blew up too big of a balloon. It's killing me.
Yeah,
Poisonous effect to evil people.
I'm liking this magic fireflies.
Magic fireflies. Any kind of little spirit creature that comes out. What are those Princess Mononoke spirit creatures? And they
Oh, those little elemental dudes?
yeah, they're tree spirits.
You know what? There is some guys like that in Chult, I believe. But they're elemental spirits in Chult, not tree spirits. But I like, well, I mean, I think that's kind of taken up with dryads and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like just a tinier dryad.
A tinier dryad, that could work too. That could work
we
too.
can say that they're.
What about like a very primal, simple-minded, like acts more on an emotional level than an intelligence level? Dryads are always portrayed as having some kind of very high-level sentience. I was thinking something that's more, you're good, so I feel love towards you. You're bad, so I instantly feel anger or aggression towards you. You know what I mean? Something very, very primal, very simplistic.
Okay, almost like animal instinct, understanding whether or not someone's going to cause it harm or not.
Precisely. Something very primal.
Okay.
Old Grumpy on Twitch said, are they going to turn their tails off if you're bad? I think that's exactly the point. They just don't show up. They stay eating leaves or doing whatever they're doing. They only show up if you're good.
So what kind of creature are we talking about? We're just talking about basically not awakened creatures, but maybe they have, I mean, it could be as simple as creatures that have insight. Like
where's the cutoff? Nerd test number 2, folks. What's the cutoff for animal intelligence? Displacer Beast is right above, and I think it's a 5 or a 6.
I'm going to say 3 or lower is animal intelligence for the most part. Sometimes there's 4, like I think a couple of the dogs might have 4.
So like a 5 intelligence then?
Yeah, maybe like as smart as a displacer beast. Less than the stupid human.
Because displacer beasts are meant to be mildly intelligent. They understand basic commands. They don't have like a way to talk, but yeah.
What? I think giving them on that same level, kind of like
a 5.
So we would call this what, like an awakened grove in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. James Leslie said 6. He thinks a PC can be a 4. But with Dicey UK, I would argue, and I've actually had to argue this point before. I would argue that the player characters have implied sentience, implied intelligence. So you're just real dumb. Like, oh, that poor fella. Good thing he can swing a sword.
A human with a 4 is different than a dog with a 4.
Precisely.
In what they do.
This guy gets me. Wicked Jasmine said, I could totally see the were-rabbits as monks that tend to the health of the tree. They're all level 1 fighter druids, and they all just hang out. They could be just live in like a little community near there. Like the fig, there are people that grow, I think it's called a fig. I don't remember the name of the tree. There are people who build living bridges out of tree roots, and I'm almost positive it is a fig tree, but I can't remember. Did you get it out?
Yeah.
Feeling a little better?
Feeling a little better. Just doing a little voice losing.
Ooh, a dog with a 4 is considered awakened. An ape is a 6. So I think 5 is a good compromise. Apes are very intelligent. Coco could sign.
So how about we say instead, well, because let's say we had like a, I don't know, gorillas aren't native to this forest, but let's say they were. Could it then have an 8?
Right, exactly. So, you get where I'm going with this.
Will we say instead that basically there's a type of creature that's awakened, but not like the spell, so we'll have to call it something else.
Okay. Okay. What about if you just gave these creatures a blurb, and we can just make the blurb real quick and call it like primordial sentience or something like that. And then every single creature that has that blurb operates on that same intelligence level. So we can give them a stat, but ultimately the GM should be referencing this chunk, this primordial sentience thing, to be like, okay, this is how smart they are. I don't need to like ballpark it off the intelligence stat. You don't want somebody like, yeah, the squirrel has a conversation with you and he talks really fast. Like, you want people to be, you know what I mean? Because sometimes these stats can be a little open to interpretation, as we're seeing in chat right now. So,
okay, so how about we say maybe it's like a plus this plus that, or it's like a base amount, or is that what we're talking about? I guess
I would say +1 intelligence and then some form of RP guide. You know what I mean? Like a role play guide. But like +1 intelligence and then a role play guide. And then and we have tons of commentary going here. There we go. Jan, always on top of it. Thank you. Jan in Twitch said it's a rubber fig tree, the one that they make bridges out of.
Oh, rubber fig tree. Well, there's no mangroves or other watery areas in this forest here.
Yeah, unfortunately.
There's a spring, though.
They tend to grow in jungles. I don't think they do well here. And then we have a couple different comments coming about the smarter than the average animal stuff here. We have just provides, Dicey UK said just provides a quicker way for animals to become awakened. Question mark. And James Leslie said evolved. I like that word usage. That's not a bad idea. Slot said, would a creature, that's a good question. Would a creature that leaves the grove lose the intelligence boost? Is it an effect only happening while there?
What do we say instead that perhaps the spirit tree, basically if you perform the awaken spell at the tree, you can forego the gemstone cost or whatever of required.
Oh yeah.
Instead.
Oh yeah.
Instead of and well, I mean, we can just say that like there's a layer effect from the spirit tree that may just, these creatures seem more observant and intuitive than others of their kind, but not necessarily any stat bumps from that.
And then that allows us to easily, both thematically and mechanically, answer all those questions. That works well. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that way we don't have to do like the minutia of the little plus this.
I like that. Minutia. That's fine.
But at the same time, plus this, plus that.
No, it's cool. Long as you're enjoying yourself, just ruin my night.
So basically, we're going to say that so long as you do it basically in front of the tree, you know what? Maybe that's what that fruit does. That'd be a cool effect if you could just feed it this fruit instead during the ritual or whatever.
How would you get things to eat the fruit?
Some things aren't going to be able to eat the fruit. Forget it. Just say
come here, bald eagle.
It's part of the layer effect of like the radius around the tree.
Okay, sure. Okay, so then that brings up the next question, which is Druids of the Grove are like, man, I really like these weasels. They're so cute. Make them smarter. So he made some weasels smarter. Weasels breed really fast, and now you have like a secretive Nim thing going on. There are also still questions about intelligence level. We still have people asking, could they make conversation? How are they able to communicate, and to what degree?
All right, I will answer that question very soon as I check out D&D Beyond and just grab the awakened spell.
Okay, all right, cool.
You don't have to remember everything. You just have to remember where you get it.
That would be an interesting concept, though. I've played around a lot with different versions of reincarnation. One of the things I played around with was this tribe, and anytime someone died, their soul would be stored essentially in a central location. The details aren't super important. And then when a new child was born, their soul would be what was in the new child. So they'd essentially come back to life knowing who they were. but just as a baby, kind of what was that, like a Kwisatz Haderach? What was his little sister? They called her something. Anyway, yeah. So you'd continue your existence perpetually like that. What if the animals were like that?
Okay, I'll get back to that. Just ask me that question in a little bit. So the target gains an intelligence of 3 if it has an intelligence of 3 or less, and it's able to speak one language you know. It'll be Elven, because I've got my
elves are so stuck up. Do you believe this?
I'm an elf. I'm not going to be like, oh, speak common so you can speak to the peasant folk. I mean, elves. I'm sure there's rich humans too, but
oh god, here we go. Here we go.
So you can speak one language, and if you're a plant, you gain the ability to move. Okay. That's the really cool thing. Awakened tree guards, man. And that can be part of the magic thing too, because imagine you have a giant grove of movable trees, and you can actually make like magic magic glyphs and stuff out of the tree formations. Like, take that, ley lines.
I ran into a problem a while ago. If you guys want to do something interesting, tell your GM that every day you're going to go in the woods. It's a 4th level spell. If you cast it as a ritual, you can permanently animate something. So every day you go in the woods and you animate a tree. Every day for a year. And then you leave the woods with an army of trees.
What's this?
Animate object.
You can do it for a year and it lets you do it?
Just every day, 4th level spell slot. Cast as a ritual.
I don't remember that being one of the powers of animate object.
It was either animate object. Is it awaken the tree, awaken, or animate plant? I don't. Let me grab my book. I don't remember.
All right, I'll let you do that. I'm pretty
okay. I'm gonna use the book. Everybody use the book. The book is good for you.
All right. So that's kind of the gist. I think that would be cool to be able to awaken it without the cost. Now the cost is kind of pricey.
What is the cost normally?
It's not cheap. It is not cheap. First off, it takes 8 hours to cast, and it requires an agate worth at least 1,000 gold pieces.
Okay.
So we
That's
can either.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. But this is the only place in the world that can do this. So it could be a cool destination for people who heard of a mystic grove of legend where you can go and, 500 years later or something like that, if this place is still around, people will like travel to do this. Or my descendants will be selling the thing for a fee and have some kind of, maybe it'll be like an amusement park. I don't know.
I can't remember what the spell was. I'm failing you guys right now. And first person to fail a nerd test. James Leslie said he did that to a toy shop. Super creepy, dude. Super, super creepy. All right. This is why D&D Beyond is good.
Oh, yeah. And Traveling Grove. That's true. If you awakened all the trees around.
Yeah, exactly.
Good
Take
times.
it with you. Okay. Condor DM. Okay, here we go. If an animal runs into evil while in the grove, they revert back to basic intelligence for several hours. If a PC runs into a mindless animal, that would mean evil is close by, probably within the grove. God, if I was writing a book, that mechanic would be something I used. I'd be like, that's perfect. There we go. Chapter 2. Running into a random scared animal and being like, Frilio, come talk to me. What's wrong, Frilio? Oh, my little ferret friend has run away. Evil must be nearby. I'm sorry, I don't do the fluffy bunny thing very well. This whole happy rainbow thing has just got me completely off my game.
I can tell it's stretching you outside of your comfort zone.
Animate plant. It might be animate plant. I'm sorry, guys.
So perhaps local centaurs overhunt the animals. Poor animals.
Right. But we need some form of interaction with the world around you. We know that the nearby townships and villages and farmers are just mad hot in love with your guy. If I were a corn farmer and you came back and you were like, hey, for free, I'm going to give you twice as much corn. I'd be like, you're my bro. You want to sleep in my house tonight? Can I make you dinner? Like that would be the best thing ever. So what about other groups or factions in the area?
Okay, so yes, there are warders in the forest. So
Okay.
that is a group of rangers and Oath of Ancients. There's a few Oath of Ancient paladins. So basically, we could say, I guess, protectors.
I really like the direction you're going with that, Dicey UK. So, what's a good example of that? Oh, I know a good example of that. If you go to a monument or some ancient ruin, most of the time they don't let you get close enough to touch it, even if it's something like the Great Pyramid or something like that. Many of the times, the reasoning behind keeping you away from the monument is that people walk up and break a piece off so that they can have a souvenir. So, what about your grove? If people come by the grove and pick a flower, it's not a problem if one person does it.
But when 1,000 people do it in a year,
Precisely.
that's 1,000 flowers gone.
Right. So, how do they deal with
Don't
groups
step
of
on the
people?
grass.
Especially if they think this place is blessed. What did you say by the name? What god was that?
Gaius.
Okay, so there's someone somewhere making a pilgrimage to see Gaia, the Grove of Gaia. So,
Yeah, I would think so.
right. So these people come to see the area, and good intentions or not, they're going to take a rock with them if they think a god blessed this place. Like, this is my rock now.
Well, thankfully, there's only so many people, I think, that would do that in a year, even when it becomes like kind of well known as a place. Because the world's still dangerous. It's not like, oh, I just take, Interstate 80 and go across the country and everything is fine.
Right, right.
So there is still danger in traveling to this place, even if you're only like 500, 600 miles away.
But I would still think. I mean, we're talking about.
So that's probably like a once in a lifetime thing for somebody to do.
Many pilgrimages to holy sites are definitely a once in a lifetime thing. That is the most often case, in fact. But there are plenty of instances where people who are closer to a holy site make a pilgrimage every single year or every time there's a holiday. And the numbers of people that do that can be pretty monumental. So is there wardens? You said those are the ranger...
Yeah, there's warders. Yeah, there's the rangers of the forest. There's paladins. There's a few paladins. There's at least one, actually. Oath of Ancients paladin. And I'm just going to assume that there's generally hunters and things, because it's still a forest. It's, it doesn't escape. Just because it's a spirit grove doesn't mean it escapes the natural order of things. Which includes
and
humans eating tasty deers.
Deer is tasty, by the way. It is delicious. So is black snake. Even if you haven't eaten it, it is good. Okay, so an eel. I love eel. Okay, moving on. So we have several people bringing up several different points. There are a lot of implications about what you've built here, and several of these comments kind of hit on that. So Old Grumpy brings up something. They're cheap jacks, which used to be like salesmen in medieval times. They'd like sell you a bunch of garbage, or, this is the holy grail or whatever, and they've got 10 of them, and this is the only one. And when they sell one, they take another one out and tell you the same story. Okay, so Old Grumpy on Twitch said, "Get your Grove relic here, only 400 gold. Get them while they last." So somebody's selling Grove relic somewhere, right?
I would assume so.
Kind of lending to that idea of this grove kind of having an influence on the world around it. We have Wicked Jasmine said, "Would the flowers from this place make special dyes or even magical dyes?" Dicey UK weighed in on that and said ones that don't fade. So there's and Lincoln wants to know if there are any talking bears with picnic baskets. Hey, boo-boo.
I can see that happening.
Okay, so how is the world around the grove reacted to it? What are there any stories we can tell about how that's taking place?
As far as reaction, I would think that there's stuff that has gone on recently. There's been wars, there's been sieges, so it's been kind of a nasty place.
Kind of a dark, evil, bad thing. just in the general area around them.
Yeah, the general area has been under siege. It's been war torn. It's had, thousands of orcs and giants walking through the area. So it's had some bad times.
Have we managed to bury you in details yet? We're trying really hard.
Yeah, you're doing a really good job.
Okay, good job, guys.
As far as, let's say, the bounty of the forest, so nice things that are there that someone might want to take. So I like the idea of the flowers producing some kind of benefit, either like maybe some kind of perfume.
You could almost do just like a talismongery entry and be like, there is tons of nice stuff here someone's going to want.
Yeah.
This is the biggest blueberry I've ever seen. The only place in the world it grows is in that forest over there with the poor mayor trapped in a tree.
the spirit guardian of the woods. He is no longer the mayor. So perfume dyes. Maybe some of them are like medicinal.
Just foodstuffs. If I'm a farmer and I walk through your land and I see, walnut trees with walnuts that are like ka-chunk, would you like some walnut? I mean, I'm going to be like, can I please have some to plant? Like, there's tons of stuff here that people would want.
I am sure that some people are transplanting plants out of the grove and taking them with them.
And the direction we're kind of going in is the wardens are like, let me get you something that you can take with you. Here's walnuts from last season, or berries we harvested to feed the were-bunnies, or
yeah, they would have to go basically like to the home office. My guy is a noble merchant after all.
Hi, I'm here to pick up some. Wow, if you guys are a merchant, then maybe he's very strictly regulating trade here.
There would probably be an aspect of his personality that would greatly desire to do so.
But he's still a druid.
Well, he's still a nature cleric. So, and he used to be a reluctant cleric that he felt like he was poorly chosen, like the god was incorrect in choosing him. But he's since moved past that, and character development-wise is now fully into being a nature cleric. But he still has family ties and things, and he wanted to prove himself as a merchant. That's still true for his personality. Okay. But he just like fully goes in towards cleric mode though.
Will you give me one little evil thing? Dicey UK brought it up and I really like it, and I'd just like to, it's not evil in and of itself. It's a reflection of the evil in the world around them.
Sure.
Refugee camp.
Bless you.
No, there's like a refugee camp that's maybe infringing on some of the woodland area.
I thought you said some kind of word like Roxasha. but I was hoping you weren't saying Roxasha.
What? Like a refugee, an encampment of maybe a defunct kingdom, or maybe there was a war, there was a siege that took place at the mega city, and now people have kind of traveled down after they lost their land.
Okay, the siege that went through, the army that went through and devastated the area, survivors could have come to Griffingaff, realized there was no way they were getting in because they were like overfilled, and they could have just found bounty in the forest and said, well, I'll just take some branches and make a shelter out of this pine tree over here.
Well, I mean, that's a very legitimate line of thinking. Yeah. Like, this place is incredible. That blueberry bush will feed my family for the week. Like, this place is insane. So we're staying. Wicked Jasmine said, a fallen Fae tribe, interesting, Grove barbarians, treetop farming, symbiotic plants that grow in trees. I'll be totally honest with you. When writing custom settings, nothing is off the table. I go totally crazy, which is how Nate ends up completely buried.
Yeah.
James Leslie would like to take issue with your cleric's direction in selling things from the Grove. He said, so you were chosen to give nature new life, and now you're selling it for profit. You're a monster, man.
Safeguarding the supply and demand. If there's no berries left, we can have no more berry bushes.
Sounds like there is evil in the Grove already. Okay, glad we got
It's my own inner demons were at work there.
If you have this dedicated group of protectors. And then the dedicated group of protectors, for whatever reason, is like, okay, we're going to accept the refugees. You guys are it. Nobody else coming in. And allowed them to live there. I would think that if those people had been accepted with open arms and they're treating this as their home now, even if it had only been for a few months, they would aggressively protect this place of theirs. And they're going to be wandering everywhere. They'll be using all 100 miles of circumference, whatever it is.
James Leslie, sorry. You're selling the secrets of nature and we can't even put in a gray render?
Yeah, I know. He's been mentioning the gray render and I've been like, no, that'll never pass the unicorn test. No.
Oh my gosh, gray renders.
What about a good version of a classically evil creature? This is good.
Okay, so we can take it off 11 and dial it back down to something reasonable with the fluffy bunnies things.
What about wait. I have good idea. I have great ideas here. This is a good idea. I have all the good ideas. They're all in my brain right now. Thanks to chat. You guys give me so many good ideas. Wrong page. What about... Oh, no. Are you guys waiting? Are you highly anticipating me showing you what the book is going to have in it? The problem is that the first thing I thought of, I just don't think you could tell a story that would convince me that the thing could turn good. I just can't imagine there being a story where those things are good. Okay. Normally, these dudes are pretty mean and pretty gnarly, but their intelligence is so low and so animalistic that what if the grove affected them?
All right. I'm listening.
Knolls are good for your health. Eat your knoll every day.
Knolls?
Yeah. Come on.
Bleh.
No?
I'm thinking about it.
No, it's cool. Crush my dreams. It's fine.
Well, I'll crush them, and then maybe I'll try and take them off the dirt.
Okay.
I'll extract them from the little crater that has been made by them.
Celestial knolls might be a little over the top, but I just see... Wicked Jasmine said that they are good with the knoll idea. I just like the idea that they're a very basic, very primal intelligence. They're not super high intelligence. So the concept that their proximity to the grove, maybe a small group of them wandered into the grove, and then over time the wardens kept an eye on them and just noticed that the gnolls were acting weird. They didn't burn anything. They didn't attack anybody. And then eventually a warden approaches them and is like, "Hey, you guys aren't going to stab anybody?" And they're like, "No, not feeling the stab. Feeling like hugging things. Want to hug things. Need help planting stuff? I like rainbows." No, maybe.
I don't know. I'm going to have to mull that one over.
Aww.
James Leslie says, celestial gnolls like creatures derived from dire wolves that evolved into protectors of the woods. Okay.
He tells a compelling story. Full of rich detail and beauty. I'm trying to play into the rainbow thing here. Yeah.
Okay. I like the idea of wolves transforming into something that's... What about jackal wares? There's something that's werewolf-like, so it's kind of gnoll-like, it's kind of werewolf-like. What do you think about jackal wares?
I like gnolls because they're kind of demon spawned.
Okay. Oh,
and
crap.
then
jackal wares are chaotic evil. Whoops.
Well, gnolls aren't exactly nice guys. I mean, if we wanted to have a discussion here, we're trying to say something's corrupted. My only issue with the jackalware is that there's the user and then the jackal form, right? And the user, I don't think they're all chaotic evil.
Okay.
Being a were creature doesn't make the person evil. It just makes you a were creature. Bob the bread maker could be like, on full moons, I shackle myself to my bread oven. It doesn't, for my settings.
Okay, so jackal wares aren't werewolves. They're they're creatures that can shape change from jackals
into
to human hybrids to humans. How about fox people? I've always wanted fox people. We haven't put them in Gryffindor. We haven't put them in Ulfgania yet.
Where fox people or just fox people?
I like the idea of foxes changing into people. I think that could work out. But that's that. Okay, this is the thing. That's really like a lot of lore and real world stuff, like fox spirits.
Kitsune is the
So I guess
fox spirit.
They don't have it in Dungeons and Dragons yet for 5e.
Really?
For 5e, no, there's no Kitsune yet. I think it could be good because they could also be mischievous, not necessarily.
I got a question for you. What if we drive the stake right down the middle? So a gnoll is kind of hyena in appearance.
Okay.
What if we just poof, new meta-human race? We can do this. We're GMs. You're GMs. We can do this.
So wait.
Or we just fox people.
Fox people.
They exist now. And a bunch of them live here.
Even though I said it, I'm still leery about it.
James Leslie said they're just fox tabaxi. Compelling argument.
Well, some people don't want to make a new race. Sounds like it to me.
We can so easily put these guys together.
Wicked Jasmine says no Kitsune in 5e. We must make this.
Exactly. The Kitsune thing is an even better fix. And we could even keep the story compelling by saying these Kitsune that live in this area are good, but most of the time when you run into them, they're pretty wicked critters. I have a dungeon magazine in my living room that has it's the something of the Fox Lady, and it's an adventure about a Kitsune.
Oh, really?
From AD&D Second Ed, yeah.
James Leslie says you took away my evil.
I'm sorry. Heartbroken.
All right. Let's say these as options. I'm gonna put these in with the dryads and pixies and stuff. Water nymphs.
All right. Tricksters. They could be tricksters. We could go far with this. Kitsune is classic. That's old school cool.
All right. So do we want to say that we could probably say that during the siege, some of the creatures were trapped that tried to enter the forest? The ones that were like, oh, I'm not afraid, I'm going to go through the forest and burn it down or whatever. And they didn't make it because they were trapped and basically like put in detention in a sense, like detained.
Yeah.
And maybe they were transformed over time into something.
Oh, yes.
And that could be gnolls. Gnolls would have definitely been something that could have been in the area at the time. So, but I'm just trying to think of like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to mull it over.
I feel like
that's gonna take another session.
It could take another session. We can do more sessions, unless Twitch and YouTube go away. There's always more sessions.
Don't say such a thing.
Never say that again, or I will kill you with my hands, so I can watch you die.
Slow down. Okay, so Goodly Knowles ?
Yeah. They lost interest in eating sentient things. I don't know. I feel like this is, yes. I kind of feel like this is a chat vote mechanic here. Like they should just good aligned Quaggoth is the name. What's the name of the demon? There's a crazy tentacle arm dude. Anyway, vegan Knowles. How's your lettuce? Delicious.
Condor DM says Knowles dug underground tunnel, goes under grove. They sneak in from time to time. Yugoloth.
It's the demon that
isn't that the Spider
Knowles
Queen's demon?
I don't know. Lilith, not Lilith. Loth. Thank you. Loth, the Spider Queen.
Lilith.
Yugoloth. Oh, maybe it is Demogorgon. I don't remember. It's Demogorgon or Yugoloth is one of the demons that the gnolls are like a spawn from. Like he goes around and here, have some creatures, have some gnolls, which is why I thought they'd be cool to corrupt, except we're corrupting them towards good, which is perfect for your sunshine and rainbows gig you got going here. Evil's more fun, but that's fine.
Yeah, so there's going to have to be some kind of... Well, see, this is the thing. When you make a pristine area, adventures can happen through some kind of defilement or corruption entering it. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
there's got to be some nice places, nice, shiny, happy places in the world, or it's very difficult to have that distinction of stuff going bad.
Okay, here's a question.
So we're just prepping the area for questing.
We're testing the concept you just presented. This is for chat too. Name a nice fluffy place in Skyrim. Go. I'll wait for answers.
There's a farmland that was pretty nice.
And the houses you guys get to build because of the homestead expansion do not count. That is...
Yeah, most of the places in Skyrim are crap. There's a lot of bad things going on there. Well, see, that's what I mean. It's pre-corrupted.
Yeah, exactly.
It's ready to be adventured.
That's Lincoln immediately went man after my own heart, or woman. I have no idea. Said mods allowed. I made a ton of Skyrim mods. Yes, mods are always allowed and encouraged. Please don't forget to upvote me on Nexus Mods. Anyway,
You made Skyrim mods?
Oh yeah, Skyrim, Fallout.
You know what? You said that like as an additional part of a sentence. Earlier. That's right.
Everybody
Skyrim and Fallout.
Yeah.
I just think about space engineers and medieval engineers when I think about what you do.
Space engineers, medieval engineers, Skyrim. I made a mod for a random like Dance Dance Revolution kind of game once. I wanted a song in the game and was like, how does one add a song? Turns out it is a process. But I did it because I thought of doing it and then it wouldn't leave my brain until it was done. So much like this and Knowles. But anyway, we have to.
So James Leslie votes for High Rothgar.
No. I mean, that is probably the closest though. But I definitely don't think it's a nice place. Like not happy, fluffy bunny friendly.
So Wicked Jasmine.
Go ahead.
Wicked Jasmine. Oh, what if the grove was blessed by a true good dragon god or some kind? Well, it is blessed in a way by the nature deity for the world, and all the dragon gods have been banished. So they're off the table for blessing anything.
Tammy, way to go, homie. Okay. All right. So what other details do we need in this area, this grove? We've got several possibilities. Sometimes sentient creatures being in your place are good. Sometimes they're bad, but we got a bunch of possibilities. We've got enhanced intelligence creatures. We've got a fruit. This is invariably going to end up being evil and corrupting the grove. We've got like a refugee camp living on one side of the grove. And we know that this place is like super, super opulent. Lots of food, very healthy ecosystem. Ooh, Dicey UK, way to go. What about extreme weather conditions? Maybe perpetual mists in the woods or anything like that. We had the little lightning bugs coming out to lead good people. What about a confusing mist for bad people?
Yeah, that could be an kind of like a confusion enchantment or something.
Well, it doesn't even have to be an enchantment. It could literally be you can see 5 feet in front of you. And then if I'm a warden or a ward and I look down and I say the mists are gathering, I know that there's something the woods doesn't want here. So I'm going to go check that out. I can't see it because it's covered in mist. But I'll head that way.
All right. So we're saying with the protectors, We could also have some kind of magical defenses.
Right. Fog. Fog isn't the end of the world. Not game breaking. Not going to slow anybody down. But a few people might be like, it's hard to see through this. I'm a bad man. And then the wardens show up and they're like, all right, buddy, get on the ground. Show me your hands. Put your sword away.
That could be a thing. I'd say magical defenses. We could say mist, as well as I've done things with spike growth in the area, and I've also, if you do plant growth specifically for growing overgrowth, it becomes like extreme levels of difficult terrain, like 1 foot, 4 feet to get one. I think is what it goes to.
That's fantastic.
So it gets pretty crazy as far as
and
movement.
We have piles of suggestions in chat, just oodles of suggestions.
Excellent.
Blink dogs are lawful good or chaotic good, so you really could have blink dogs hang out and protect the place.
Oh, great.
What was Paul's idea? Oh, the blink dogs. And there's so many suggestions. Two-way mirror fog. My brain can't process how that would work, but that sounds good.
Trail mazes is another thing. The difficult terrain makes kind of trail mazes throughout the grove.
Things just look very similar.
Yeah, and if you say, I'm not going to go on this path, I'm just going to cut north because I know I need to go north to get out of the grove. It's still, you're going very, very slowly because there's whole sections of difficult terrain that take 4 times longer to get through than regular movement.
So it's conceivable you could definitely get people lost in something like that.
Yeah, because eventually they're just going to be tired of slogging through like 2 miles of difficult terrain, which was actually 8 miles, like with a machete and cutting things and everything like that. And you're just going to be like, I need to take a rest and I can't figure out where I am. I cannot see the sun.
Tammy A said, how about Mist High Fae that react to the mist as bad alignments enter and defend? There's phase spiders, living entangle spells. We have a story about a Null Ranger here. The Null Ranger I ran, this is Random Chiroptera. I think I said that right. The Null Ranger I ran turned gradually good when he got separated from his clan until his gradual changes, focusing on his self-invented hunter honor code, eventually drew the attention of Karash, a god or bad thing, I assume. It's a bad thing. That's how we classify the deities now. Good thing, bad thing. Okay. Is there anything else? Condor DM said ghost. I'm so old that my first thought was people on a pottery wheel.
So the ghost that lives there is actually the guardian spirit of the like kind of central tree of the grove, which would be considered part of the kind of like the natural church or holy site within the center of it.
Okay.
So that's the ghost things.
Perhaps in the gnolls in the grove get blessed and uncursed by the patron deity of the grove. I don't think we're doing like a patron deity thing here, right? Because essentially you just got like a hand down from the deity. The deity was just like, you're cool, and he moved on, right?
Kind of something like that. I mean, I'm close to epic levels, and I'm influencing this place. So it's a significant amount of stuff you can do. And I did have the services of 2 earth elementals for about a month.
Oh,
that was expensive.
I'd be so rich if I had the services of earth elementals. Are you kidding me?
Well, I've made a whole bunch of secret places underneath the Griffin Gaff. So Griffin Gaff now has its own dungeons. And I may have been doing experiments with the dead bodies of the enemy soldiers and mushrooms. But that's a story for another day.
Dude, your character is evil.
No, I'm awful good.
Experimenting with dead bodies, instantly evil.
Of the enemy.
Chad agrees with me here. Doesn't matter whose body it is. That's messed up. Chad,
Of the enemy?
please agree with me now that I said you agree with me.
Evil. Old
Grumpy said
Grumpy.
it's evil.
I can't believe it.
Mycelians, exactly. You made a bunch of pod people, little spore people. Actually, we did make pod people on the last Monster Mash.
Yeah, but that's for the ocean.
Even if they're evil dead bodies, it's still messed up. It's still messed up.
I was respectful, and I didn't do anything bad to them. I just simply let the mushrooms. I let nature take its course in a very specific manner.
Read chat.
Okay, messed up. All right. Yes, Tammy A, a gray area for sure. Definitely in the gray area. Hey, the mushrooms would have eaten those people anyway.
James Leslie said that's necromancy. I'm gonna hop on that boat. Pretty sure that's necromancy. That's evil.
I think if you look at my Patreon reward that I wrote over a year ago, where I had vine haunts, shamblers, and a few other things.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all legit plant fungal creatures that you could summon, animate from the dead bodies, and a fungus plant would take over. And then move the stuff around.
A few editions ago of D&D, my wife and my friend's wife were playing a D&D game, and they ran into a bunch of kobolds that had committed a bunch of heinous murders while raiding a village.
Okay.
So they hacked the kobolds up and essentially organized the mangled bodies of the kobolds in order to scare more kobolds from coming back. But the gruesome detail of those kinds of actions comes off to me as just evil. That's just messed up.
Well, I mean, they prove the point.
Now you're defiling the kobolds didn't come back.
I'm not defiling them. I'm just accelerating the process of that nature would take.
That is some skewed logic.
It's like burying the dead, which they didn't deserve since they were evil creatures. Burying the dead in mushroom soil. Mushrooms are going to grow there.
That's really gruesome, dude. He said that's just art. That's not art. That's messed up.
Gosh, that's just
it's messed
art.
up. This is not a two-way road. There are no alternate paths. He went straight to messed up. I vote necromancy. I say you're evil now.
Yeah.
Evil.
No. Okay, so what if I buried them in the groves and they then were taken over by mushrooms and then were just happened to be under my command?
You're controlling them too?
The mushroom people, yes.
And you were like, let's do some experiments on the bodies. But now it's not just experiments on corpses. It's animated corpses. I don't know how else to define necromancy. I'm pretty sure that's just right in there. That's round peg, round hole. Right in it.
I will just have to make a peg so big that...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I wanted to ensure that the people of Gryffindor could no longer be harmed by the enemies, and so I plan on making an army of fungus people.
Do you know that the historical Vlad the Impaler, before he committed all his horrible acts and after, said, I just wanted to make sure that my people could not be harmed? That is the same logic. This is messed up, y'all. This is... God.
Sounds like he had some good ideas on ruling a state.
If you'll at least admit to Lincoln's concept, Lincoln calls it compostomancy.
I was just gonna write that.
The mushrooms are so a burial of an evil guy and a funeral at which you recount their deeds, good or bad, send them straight to the afterlife. I always believe in honorable deaths, even for super evil people. If I had to kill them in a fight, I kill them in a fight, and then that's it. I'm done. In a few games, I will bury the dead or burn the dead or whatever seems appropriate. I even took a villain that I beat in a game and took him all the way back to his homeland because as he died, he asked me to give him a proper burial, and I didn't know what to do. So we carted his happy little butt all the way back to his homeland. But yeah.
If you read what I've written there about compostomancy.
Compostomancy? Oh, no, I didn't. I have everything on low res so I don't somehow
okay.
contribute to stream lag. We've had a perfect stream tonight.
So compostomancy, yeah, it's not over yet. You should have said that at 10:59.
Yeah. Wait, 5 more minutes. My God, man.
Compostomancy, a definitely not evil act that Kienata is wrong about. The end.
That does not make it canon. Just because you wrote it, it's not canon.
This is good points. People in chat, mark and random, life and death are just a cycle. Necromancy equals death magic. This is not death magic. This is life magic. Lifeomancy can't be evil.
Kobold art would go for big bucks in the 9 hells. Oh. Okay, all right. Okay, so now we know there's definitely evil in the Grove. And that there is...
And it's the person who made it.
Yeah, and it is the person who made it who is selling off fine wares from the Grove. I'm just ensuring that nature is used properly, said the oil company tycoon. And then...
These resources have to be properly managed.
Exactly. Resource management.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it'll say on the headline. Nathan Nerdart claims proper resource management. Naturalists disagree. What?
Yes, Tammy A, the road to hell, ... Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, all right, okay. So I feel like we need to go back to this tree with the imprisoned soul in it. That's a good thing.
Okay, now that we wrap this all up, it does sound kind of necromantic.
We're going dark side here. I feel like some dark stuff happened.
Okay, so is there a dark side to the Spirit Grove?
Yeah, what's
night.
At night?
Things happen.
Oh, I say it's only dark and nasty to bad people. But I feel like it should be innocuous. Like, not direct, not overt. It should be confuse someone into walking back out of the Grove, or strange sounds so it's difficult for them to sleep. What am I missing in chat? Nate is the dark side.
The dark side's already covered as far as they're concerned. I'm it. My character's it.
So then what are we doing with this guy he's used to be the mayor, he did evil stuff, then he did good stuff, then you trapped him inside the tree. What's the play here?
Yeah, so he's been transformed into a spirit guardian of the woods. He's kind of the centerpiece for the Grove. I think that's kind of like one of the major like binding agents of him to it, is that this Grove is transforming into this. Mm-hmm. I would say overall, I'm kind of having trouble thinking about, like, does he have something that comes into conflict with, basically, what could I have an adventure with him being in it as the like issue?
So
I'm not seeing it.
How good was he before the end? Like, how did he redeem himself in his story?
He redeemed himself because he basically led everyone around and informed upon what he was doing, what the other people... He was the top of the organization in the area, and then he used that influence to destroy the organization in the area. But in the end, it required that the head of the organization, him, was found out. That was kind of like his like final act of penance in a way for that situation. So he was found out on purpose. He didn't try and hide it.
Okay, so he owned up to what he did.
Towards the end, like kind of when he knew everything was going to come crumbling down, the final puzzle piece was that everything led back to him.
So we have a lot of different concepts here. We have people asking simple questions that actually are very compelling thoughts. Tammy A said, does he have agency? Is he capable of making choices for himself? Can he move freely? And then Wicked Jasmine said maybe something compelling him would be that he wants to be free. What are you giggling at?
Well, the reason so originally he was I took him and I did a ritual to have him be in this tree.
Okay.
As a way of kind of like
Necromancy
over time
ritual?
atoning. Over time, it was just plant. It was totally a druid spell. Over time, he would be, in a sense, living out his sentence on Earth for something he should have already been receiving as punishment for.
Okay.
So, the idea was that eventually he would at least be not resigned to a terrible afterlife or whatever.
Yeah, down below.
Yeah, so in the end, it transformed him. Rather than just imprisoning him in the tree, it transformed him into something else.
So he did enough good, and then while existing in the tree, essentially fully redeemed himself.
Yes, or maybe whoever the higher power would be, Gaius, or I'm assuming it's Gaius. But there could have been some other hand in the pie, in the baking, let's say. And that other, let's say, so Gaius would have maybe seen that tree is going to be there, so it's kind of transformative, and that was going to be his sentence for eternity. And he basically allowed him to be there rather than the punishment he deserves.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, what is his current form?
A spirit being that I guess similar to a ghost, but not like a ghost. Doesn't like drain people or anything like that. Or
he doesn't commit acts of evil, but he is essentially just a disembodied spirit that's roaming around.
Well, that can reside within the tree, so it's not the same thing, because I don't think ghosts can hang out and stay in walls and stuff. I think they have to
move through them.
They have to move to empty spaces or whatever.
So maybe he goes back to the tree to rest or something like that.
You could say that. And he's not really seen much, but it knows that it's known that he exists.
And Wicked Jasmine said, so he can move about on his own freely?
I believe he could if the need was great, but I don't think it's his natural form. It's not like a sprite's a magical being, and a sprite can move around wherever the heck a sprite really wants to move. It's not the same thing.
And Dicey UK had some more questions, so we can dig a little deeper here. Does he just wish to atone, and does he genuinely care about the area around him? Like, how does he feel? What's driving this character at this point?
Okay, it's almost like if you have his original state, being that of a robot that's done bad things, and you rip out all the inner bits of a particular nature, and then place inside of him a directive to be the spirit guardian of the woods. That's kind of what happened to him. I don't think it's not like he doesn't have his own personality or memories. They've kind of been
clean slate,
blinded. It's almost like you're trying to read something like in the light of the sun, and it's so bright you can't read what it was originally there. Do you know what I mean? So it's
okay. So maybe some of the impetus from his past would still be there.
There's probably bits and pieces, but it would be more like fading memories than. You could say he's kind of like brainwashed, but basically he does not have the. It's like an ascendant being in a sense. He doesn't have the trials and desires and regrets of a regular person.
Okay, I'm gonna pull full hardcore nerd out on you guys now, because I'm gonna make a reference that is pure nerddom. In Xena the Warrior Princess, please place your hate in the comments below.
Hey,
in Xena the Warrior Princess, at one point, one of the incredibly evil characters, Calypso, ends up being allowed to be redeemed. She essentially gets into heaven, and they say, here's your redemption. We're going to wipe the slate clean. You don't remember the evil you were, but you're still essentially the same person. Your new, happy, fluffy bunny version. So can we kind of assume a similar transformation? I see you guys blowing me up with chat here. I'm trying to keep up.
Similar transformation, but a lessening of the personality and ego. Like that's been kind of like pushed aside.
Okay. And we have several questions about control. Does he have any influence on the fog, for instance, so we can verify that this is Strad? Does he...
he probably does, as the spirit guardian, control when that happens and when it doesn't.
Okay. So he has a little wiggle room, like grow some vines, make some leaves flutter around. Could he protect the woods if something evil came in and he felt like the woods were in trouble?
I think the way the grove has manifested over time would be the way that he's protecting it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's very overt. It's more like over the years, the transformation that has occurred is what's supposed to be aiding the forest.
Hadouken! Okay, here is a thought. I had like brilliant idea. Okay, follow this. Right? Gnolls wander into the woods. They're going to do bad stuff.
Okay.
The spirit sees the simpleness of these creatures and recognizes them as beasts on the inside.
Okay.
So the spirit decides that they deserve the same chance at redemption that he got.
Okay.
And so the spirit, because it's compelled to make up for mistakes it can't even remember anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It essentially kind of brainwashes or mind wipes, or however you'd like to phrase it, these gnolls and makes them into fluffy, happy bunny, rainbow unicorn people. Fluffy white clouds. Into the Brian, you're not helping right now, sir.
Totally mushroom zombies.
We have so many good comments coming in.
We do have mushroom guardians who happen to carry around their food source that is built on a frame of bone and sinew and other things that might have at one point been a sentient being.
The only universe where this place is considered good is the Warhammer universe. Literally the darkest, like one of the darkest settings. Maybe
there's nothing good in the Warhammer universe.
No. This is happy, fluffy bunny stuff for them. You carry corpses around? No, that's normal. That's fine. My kid does that.
Totally fine. Cool. They train them young. Oh, okay. Well, I like the idea of the spirit attracting guilty souls. I like that. That could make all kinds of problems while still being like something.
We got James Leslie and Wicked Jasmine in chat. They said they love the Gnoll idea. LOVE, strong word to throw around. They mean it.
So we're going to say we've got attraction of evil. So some things like gnolls, guilty persons or spirits.
That's an interesting thought, Old Grumpy. Old Grumpy on Twitch said, would not the area be considered that guy's body, so he'd be aligned to what the guy was after, like after the god was done with him, then the area would kind of align itself to him because he's kind of one with the land. Just a thought, just trying to keep you buried and stuff to type, that's all.
Okay, as far as
Good night, Platinum.
Yeah, it's really like less about what he was and more about what his new job is, I guess is the... It's hard to imagine like stripping a person of what they were while they're still kind of... Brian Smith. Well, who the heck is this guy? Oh,
exactly.
Bye, Platinum. So the guy is the previous mayor. He was basically in charge of the cult for 60 years in the area, the blood cult of the demon god, Narcitus. So
that's evil.
Bad news. He helped grow the cult for 60 years, and then he helped dismantle it by he found some adventurers in the area, and he's like, these people might be the people I need. So he basically led a path throughout the cult, dismantling it, like revealing all this kind of information, and then it led eventually to him because he was the head of it. So 60 years of badness, where people were getting murdered for 60 years because to this blood god, and he tried to basically alter that. So then he became a wandering spirit, and then this wandering spirit guy made nice with his son. They had like a final moment, and then I shoved him into this plant and then made him part of the grove.
Chat is killing me right now. Are you reading all this?
And then what happened was I wanted to have him atone for his sins to everything, but I didn't want him to actually receive necessarily the punishment of it. I thought maybe perhaps given 1,000 years or so in a tree, he would be able to kind of work off the bad points over time.
Or
Do
go
you know what I mean?
totally freaking crazy. One of the two.
Or go mad. But then we cut down the tree.
I feel like
done.
James Leslie summed this up quite nicely. James Leslie said, at Brian Smith, Nate killed an evil cult leader trying to atone himself and stuffed him in a tree to make a sacred grove.
Well, actually, he was found guilty by law in the town of Griffingaff, which warranted execution for his crimes, and a particular dwarf played by Dave just chopped his head right off right there, right after the trial.
God. That sounds like something Dave would do. That makes sense.
That's totally, yeah. He's like, well, no sense in him humming about this. Off with his head.
Tammy said, what's this guy's name? If his name is Hermit Wetbottom, it sounds like a proper name, doesn't it?
Thorn something. What was his name?
I like Hermit Wetbottom.
Something Greenleaf. Something Greenleaf, I think.
The evil cult leader was something Greenleaf?
Well, yeah, he was like...
Nobody saw that one coming.
Well, he was like a roguely type from 60 years ago. He had a regular name. Thorn... I don't remember. You know what? He got killed so long ago. And I don't call him the name he wouldn't answer to it. The spirit guardian wouldn't answer to it anyway. So it's like really doesn't matter what his name was.
Who remembers the names of people you murder and trap in a tree? Come on, guys.
With Thorin Oakenleaf? Man, now I can't remember.
Thorin Oakenleaf?
No.
I would feel safe sleeping next to someone named Thorin Oakenleaf. I'd be like, no, I'm falling asleep. Did you hear his name? It's safe here. We're good. Go to sleep, man. So, worst case scenario.
Mayor Goldleaf.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I don't remember what his name was. It's not important because he won't answer to it anyway.
Lost in the annals of time.
Yeah, ask Ted. But go bother Ted next Saturday on the live chat.
Ted, we need a name. Ted.
Yeah, he'll remember. Or you can just watch the Griffingaff campaign. He comes up.
Old Grumpy, you got attacked by Nightbot on Twitch. Sorry about that. Nightbot is still set to passive-aggressive mode, where it doesn't tell you what you did wrong, but it gets mad at you and tries to time you out anyway. So we're gonna work on Nightbot. We have one of those on our Discord that's passive-aggressive angry.
And no, you can't say $.
James Leslie would like to know, did you treat him properly and at least send his family a ham?
A ham?
Your dad's in a tree, kids. Here's a ham.
I think his son got his sword or whatever. I think that's what happened.
You armed the next generation?
Yeah.
No concern about revenge. You have like the nicest GM on the planet. Here, have your dad's sword. I killed him.
He cut
his head off.
He was they were like not friends at the time. So when he found out his father died,
not friends.
Yeah, they were. What's that called? Disgruntled family members.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Not necessarily. What's it's a reverse. When you get disinherited by your parents, that's what that's called. It's like the reverse of that. It's like the reverse of disowned. For parents to children, but it's the child to the parents. Like, I'm out of here. So, but we're getting way too. we're getting way too into this guy who's got like
I'm super into this
whitewashed away.
You did
to
this.
be a spirit person.
It's your fault.
I'm trying to say, let's bring it back to he's a spirit guardian that is of goodly aligned nature. Like, let's say
Can we
neutral
do the
good.
Null thing? Can we at least do the Null thing where like he's the reason the Null?
I think if he has special powers to do certain things like that, I think that's good. I think that it's cool that he would draw guilty persons or spirits to him for atonement. I think that sounds good.
Okay.
And the Nulls, I mean, aside from him having influence over them as they enter the Grove, and maybe they were trapped or confined and they couldn't, maybe the Grove kind of ate them in a sense and they couldn't get out of it. So they were trapped for so long that it began influencing their mind and their bodies.
Exactly, Tammy. Exactly. You did this. This is your fault. Okay, so but drawing in the guilty and giving them essentially a place for redemption just adds to like holy factor plus 10 for this site. Like this is an incredible place now. And there could be stories of people who came here on pilgrimage and visited this site and then left and felt super redeemed and better about their lives and decided to turn over a new leaf. Get it? Because it's a druid grove. I'm sorry.
Fallon Leafblade. That's what it was.
Fallon Leafblade.
I think unless I just made that up.
That could be his name. Make that his name. Go with it.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it's Fallon Leafblade.
Leafblade does kind of, it's got an edge to it.
I see what you did there. All right. Okay. Fallon Leafblade it is. Unless Ted yells at me. It says no.
Well, I mean, once you're done with this and you hand this over to Ted and be like, Ted, I did the thing. Can all of this be canon?
Yeah, can all this be okay?
He'll be like, yeah, except his name's wrong. Yeah, exactly, Tammy. The puns are real. Thank you, old grumpy. +1 for the bad pun. If my options are burial, cremation, or glazed ham, I'm probably going for ham. Okay. You're ruining me here.
It's getting funnier.
It's we're almost done, so it's like giggle time. Oh my god. Okay. And you win. Oh. I just very life of Brian moment. Hello, sir. Your options for death are burial, cremation, and glazed ham. Which will it be? And you're like, the ham?
Spam, please.
Spam, please.
I'll have the spam.
I don't like spam. All right, so give me a summation. We got 8 minutes left.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Final says.
Any last minute commentary you want to throw in here about the ultra evil Druid Grove and the murdery evil cleric that necromantically created this place of happiness?
When you say it that way, it doesn't sound very nice.
It's fluffy happy bunnies.
I tried to pry the fluffy happy bunnies, rainbows, and unicorns from your hands, and it just didn't work. You dragged it down.
Brian Smith showed up late and demands to know what compostomancy is.
It is definitely not an evil act that Kienata is wrong about, and the end. Okay, so my character secretly, no one else knows about it, is attempting to create cleric spells that are replacements for the slots in which you would gain, like, let's say 3rd level and I think 4th or 5th level, something like that, or 6th level, I forget. But anyway, he has this process that he's been working on where he's going to create plant creatures from the composted bodies of the dead. So he's making like special mushroom strands and special types of vines and things like that. And the idea is that he's going to create an army of these creatures to protect Gryffindor when the time arises.
Oh, it's backwards. No. Okay, go ahead.
Shambling moundomancy.
It's evil. It's evil.
I can't see that. Lies.
Okay.
So that's the compostomancy.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I described it might have sounded a little bad.
There's no room for interpretation. There's no way to describe that and make
Brian
that
Smith.
sound okay.
Brian Smith. It was Circle of Sporish before Circle of Sporish existed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did this. This was a Patreon award actually for Lost Lore and Monster Menagerie for the creatures that you can summon and also the spells to create them. And this was, I think, probably almost a year back. So that's over on our Patreon site.
So he's been evil since before evil was cool.
James Leslie says he saw it. It's evil. Evil question mark.
We have 5 minutes. Sum it up.
Oh, okay. About 100 miles of forest, Spirit Grove at the center. There's a central shrine that includes the Spirit Guardian, which used to be the old dead mayor of the town. There's also Magic Fruit of the Gods, which is a vines with golden citrus fruit on it that you can eat the entirety of, or, do whatever you want with it. Then we have duck bunnies, were-rabbits, magical fireflies that aid good-aligned creatures but avoid evil or malintent individuals. We've got dryads, pixies, sprites, water nymphs, kitsune, goodly gnolls, but probably. There's the Awakened Grove, which in general is like a layer effect for the area from the Spirit Guardian. Primordial sentients. These creatures seem more observant and intuitive than others of their kind. And Awakening, so long as you cast Awakening within 30 feet of the tree, the Spirit Grove tree, you can forego the component cost, which is 1,000 gold piece agate. There's protectors all around. There's warders, rangers, there's paladins, oath ancients, there's regular hunters. There's magical defenses such as mist and plant growth and spike growth, difficult terrain, and there's also trail mazes. And then there's a little bit about Awakening and the bounty of the forest. There's flowers, which you can use for perfumes, dyes, medicinal purposes, and food. Farming, there's plants and animals from the area that are prized by farmers in the region, and they go and kind of take samples or trade for these different goods to be able to take like berry seeds and then go and plant them in their farms, so that kind of like the bounty of the forest can be spread far and wide. There's also refugees from the war, so they're found their way to Gryffindor after escaping certain death, and the Gryffindor has kind of filled up its capacity for the time being, and many of them were turned away, so they now live in the surrounding area of the forest as kind of like wild people. Compostomancy, of course, definitely not evil. The end. And a attractor of evil, so gnolls, guilty persons, or spirits to get attracted to it to be atoned. So the guilty persons and the spirits are the atonement thing. I'll get rid of the gnolls because we put them someplace else. There. They're over in the, like, what's in the forest thing.
Okay.
I would probably dig a few more shape changers. Maybe a couple were creatures or two. But I'd say that wraps it up.
Okay. All right. That's beautiful.
So if you would like, make sure you can further comment on this in the comments below over on the YouTube channel. You can also join us this coming Thursday, where we will talk about all kinds of stuff and possibly do some monster smashing. And Friday at the same time, 9 o'clock, where we will talk about whatever the heck we really feel like talking about. Kienata?
Mm-hmm.
We might decide it before then.
That's gonna be a weird one. We may just be like, hey, what's up? What do you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, it may just be a free-for-all. Like, pick a topic and we'll go with it. We may just talk for 2 hours and chit-chat with everybody. So, it's kind of fun the past couple times, so let's go with maybe a less organized fashion for the Friday one. And Slates, thanks for the yay for the monster smashing. Brian Smith says, great job, y'all. Let's leave it alone for now. Oh, I just read a pun. You got me. And then Tamier says, thanks for the glass, guys. Thank you for joining us. And until next time, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.